I'll be there for you. Georgia football. Are we ready? I'm there for them. I've always been there for them. Alabama needed to go down. There needed to be a new regime that popped up in the SEC. And I was always rooting for Georgia because, well, frankly, they're one of the least winningest teams as far as national titles go. But they always had the capability to be a giant, and here we go. They are a college football national title contender again for 2025. Here we go. The reigning SEC champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, have made the playoff the last 4 years and went 11-2 in the regular season last season, and then went 11-3 after losing to Notre Dame. How do you lose to Notre Dame, man? I congratulate you on your past win over Ohio State in that semifinal a couple years back. Thank you for that. Otherwise, they would have had 2 national titles to our 1 in the last couple of seasons. But you have 2 instead. Go Georgia. I love it. So, Kirby Smart and company. Well, Georgia had the second most NFL picks from last season, but this team is still perennial, in my opinion. They can still reload, but Kirby Smart and company won the title twice, like I said, a couple years ago. 2 years ago before Michigan won, and then Ohio State won those past 2 seasons. So the Big Ten is flexing its muscle. But and Michigan never got to play Georgia either after Georgia whooped Michigan's ass. Georgia, in the last 4-team playoff, never played Michigan. Maybe they were out that year. Maybe they haven't made the last 4. Now that I think about it. Yeah, they beat the shit out of Florida State or something, right? 66-3 or something. Yeah, so they haven't made the last 4 straight. But they are a perennial power, and they are going to be again. Kirby Smart is arguably the best coach, and for a reason. I expect this iteration of the program to get to the playoff yet again. I have already stated that Penn State and Texas and Clemson are contenders in previous videos. It is Georgia's turn. And Georgia beat the likes of 2 of those teams, Clemson and Texas, twice last season. They beat Clemson. They won on the road at Texas. They beat Florida in the cocktail party. They beat Tennessee at home, and then they beat Texas in the SEC championship game. Georgia's losses were to Alabama on the road by 7 points is all, and Ole Miss by 18 points, though, on the road. But still, 18, what are you doing? Notre Dame, how do you lose to Rudy by 13 points in the first round of the 12-team playoff last year? I don't know, but you did. And Notre Dame went on to lose to Ohio State in the national championship last season, as we all remember. So, the SEC and Big Ten have the most contenders going forward based off buy-in and results on this channel, comments or views. There are no comments for the Big 12 and who could be a contender there. So, the SEC going forward based off buy-in and results, I think each of them are going to get 4 teams in this season, which leaves a Notre Dame probably in a group of 5. There's 2 spots left, and that's the ACC, which is Clemson, I already stated, at least, maybe Miami. But the Big 12 is going to get a team in. It's in the rules. Their conference champion is going to be higher ranked than the group of 5 champion, I believe. So, and I'm still concerned. I was going to do a team, but their quarterback was on. It doesn't look I don't know if he's going to be playing because there's some rape allegations, the R word, for Retzlaff at BYU. I was high on them. I did a whole thing, and then I, through research, saw that and was like, all right, so maybe Arizona State, maybe Iowa State. But right now, it's the second SEC team because the Big 12, I have no fucking clue. All right. So I can't decide the Big 12 representative. With all of that said, here's why Georgia is a national title contender. And as always, it starts with quarterback, doesn't it? Gunnar Stockton is a junior. He had limited time last season playing behind Carson Beck, who transferred away to Miami. So what does that say? Did he not like the circumstance he was in, or was he feeling the pressure from Gunnar Stockton from within? I don't know. Do you know? Let me know. Because wide receiver situation sucked for you guys last year, and maybe he did want greener pastures. But Georgia's team is coming back, and it is the physical type that can mask an average pass attack. They did it before with lesser quarterbacks. Who was the guy, the walk-on that one for him? Slipping my mind right now. There's been so many average quarterbacks. If you ask Uncle Lou, one of them won a couple titles for you, so he's escaping my mind. But like Michigan in 2023, looks like J.J. McCarthy's not going to hack it in the NFL. Minnesota already wants to seek a acquisition at quarterback, but the team. In 2023, it has been proven that you don't need the best quarterback to win it all, if every other position is very scary. That said, Stockton, Georgia's quarterback, was 45 of 64 last season for 70%, and he had 440 yards. That's a 6.9 average per completion, and he had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Very limited scope on what he can do. He runs when needed. He had a 5.7 average per rush on 11 rushes, I believe. It's rare. It's rare that he does that, though. So, wide receiver is going to be, I think, key for this guy and Georgia's offense. It was a big letdown for Georgia last year with all of the drops that they had. Well, let's see who's gone, who's not here, who is back for Georgia, and if they can manage the new quarterback and improve as a group on themselves. Is it an indictment of Beck? I don't think so. A lot of them were on the money, but a lot of them wide receivers are gone. You got Colby Young back, who's going to be a senior, a 6'3" guy, 215 pounds, only had 11 catches last year, 149 yards. But he had 47 catches for 563 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2023. This guy is going to be back for it. Dylan Bell, another senior, 6'1", 210 pounds, 43 catches for 466 yards, a 10.8 average, and he had 4 touchdowns the last season. Now, a couple transfers in. Zachariah Brants, the transfer in from USC, will be a junior for you next season. 5'10", 175 pounds. He had a good sophomore year for the Trojans. 47 catches, 503 yards, 10.7 average, and 1 touchdown. And Noah Thomas, the transfer in from Texas A&M, who is going to be a senior, is 6'6", 6'6", 200 pounds. He had 39 catches for 574 yards last season. That's a 14.7 average per completion, and he had 8 receiving touchdowns. So, other than that, you got London Humphreys, who's going to be a junior that's been in your program, 6'2", 200. He had 15 catches last year for 244 yards. That's a 16.3 average and 2 touchdowns. So, man, I think the wide receiver core for you guys has done an overhaul and totally revamped itself. We'll see how it all clicks. At tight end, Oscar Delp is going to be a senior now, and he needs to do better. He should improve. He is 6'5", 245 pounds, last listed on ESPN. He had 21 catches in all for 248 yards and 4 touchdowns last season. Lucky Lawson, a junior, stole some of that limelight from Oscar Delp. 6'4", 240 pounds. He had 24 catches for 348 yards. That's a 14.5 average and 3 touchdowns. So you have a couple of safety nets for your young quarterback, even if the wide receivers aren't catching balls. You got a couple of great tight ends. But all of this is behind, and it depends on the offensive line play and the ability and experience of the unit. At left tackle, our lads listed these guys. I didn't. Maybe you could tell me in the comments who you think will be the starter on the offensive line, but these are the guys OurLads.com have. They had last updated it in May, but I think there hasn't been any transfers in to make any difference. They're all back. All right. Georgia, like I said, they had the second most people taken from the NFL. There's a lot of turnover here, but these are big-bodied guys that are going to get the job done. Monroe Freeling is your guy at left tackle, a junior, 6'7", 315 pounds. He started 4 times last year and appeared in 13 games, according to GeorgiaDogs.com. At left guard, Micah Morris is a redshirt senior, 6'4", 330 pounds. He started 5 games last year and appeared in 12. At center, Drew Bobo is a redshirt junior this upcoming season, 6'5", 305. He had 2 starts last year in 14 appearances. And then at right guard, Daniel Calhoun is the newbie, but as a freshman, as a redshirt freshman this upcoming season. He did appear as a reserve 3 times, almost his limit to keep his redshirt. At 6'6", 325 pounds, why wouldn't you dabble with that guy early? Looks to be he's going to be the guy. All right, at right tackle, Ernest Green III is a redshirt junior this upcoming season, 6'4", 320 pounds. He started 9 times last year with 2 additional appearances. So behind that offensive line, you got the tight ends, you got wide receivers that are capable. You have a quarterback that was highly touted and waited his turn. I think the offense is going to be just fine. Now let's flip to the defensive side, Kirby's specialty. With the help of Glenn Schumann, of course, at defensive coordinator, Georgia has the jack position, and that is basically defensive end, linebacker hybrid. That's one position that may be an immediate impact from the transfer portal for Georgia this upcoming year. In Elo Madozi. He's a junior from Army. He's 6'3", 245 pounds. He had 34 tackles and 6.5 sacks for the Golden Knights. At defensive end, Gabe Harris Jr. will be a junior. 6'4", 260 pounds. I don't normally list guys with very little production, but he had 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. All right, I don't normally list them type of people, but his size and the fact that he's with Kirby Smart and the fact that our lads has this guy as Georgia's starter, I had to name him. Who else could be at the defensive end position, the rush position for Georgia? I'm sure there are plenty waiting and salivating licking their lips to get on the field. But at defensive tackle, you got Christian Miller. These are just experienced players that we're going to be talking about here. What we know. Christian Miller is going to be a junior, 6'4", 305 pounds. He had 27 tackles and 1.5 sacks last season. Now they have the Mac position and the money position for their linebacker core, which is kind of cool. But Raylan Wilson, a junior, is 6'1", 235 pounds. Last known he was 6'1", 235 pounds. 47 tackles and 1.5 sacks. C.J. Allen is going to be a junior as well, and he is 6'1", 235 pounds as well, but he had 76 tackles, an interception, and 4 pass breakups for the Bulldogs last season. Now, a couple of good cornerbacks here. You got Dalen Everett coming back, a senior, 6'1", 190 pounds, 58 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, and 3 pass breakups to go along with that as a junior last year. And then Daniel Harris will be a junior, but as a sophomore, he had 22 tackles and 3 pass breakups. This guy is 6'3" and 195 pounds. At nickelback, Jonel Aguero is an impact player coming back for you guys. As a sophomore, he had 26 tackles. He's 5'11" and 205 pounds. And then at free safety, KJ Bolden. As a freshman, this guy went 59 tackles last year, 1 sack and an interception. He's 6 foot and 185 pounds. He's going to be a sophomore. So, like I said, the experience, the production and experience might not be as great as it has been before, but the first 3 teams in this series all have holes in their rosters as well. We all know that the talent is simmering down there on the Georgia roster, especially after Saban left. And now there's a ton of top talent to go around in the SEC and elsewhere for that matter. Michigan starting to get some of those guys. But eventually you'll have to beat Alabama. So let's look at your schedule this season. Will you beat Alabama? I say no. All right, don't rain on your own parade here when I say you're not gonna, because you can. You absolutely can. But I have to have a loss for every team except for Michigan in 2023 because they were just that good. Seniors, the production, the numbers, everything was back and said that team's going undefeated. And I bet on that. But Uncle Lou is right when he doesn't bet undefeated teams, and I'm not going to either for Georgia. And Alabama's going to be your only loss. I had Tennessee. You're at Tennessee early in the season. I had that as a loss when Imalivia didn't leave them, but then he left them. And now you probably can win that game on the road. So here we go. You got Marshall on August 30th. They went 10-3 last year, but you're much better. You'll win that game. And then you got Austin Peay. And then there's that at Tennessee game. I expect you to win that game now, Georgia. You get your bye after that, and then it's Alabama. I thought you had 2 losses there and a bye in between. You might have 2 wins there now. I might have to say you go undefeated. But right now, I have Alabama winning that game. They could be on this national title list as well. You'll just have to wait and see. By the way, let me know who you think should be on here in the comments below. Especially for the Big 12, because I have no idea. Then Kentucky at home, that's a win. You're at Auburn. But they were 5-7 last year. They have plenty to prove this upcoming season. I think you win that game. You got Mississippi at home after that. I think that's huge. Because it's at home, you win. Then you get your second bye, and then it's Florida in the cocktail party. Now, I am high on Florida, too. I was high on them last year. I had them beating the win total. I think they're going to do better this year. I think they'll beat the win total again. But I think you beat them. You're just a much better roster at this point. Better coaching staff. Then you're at Mississippi State, who went 2-10 last year. That is a win. One of the easiest road games in the SEC. And then you have Texas at home. That's where you own Texas. I already did Texas, and I think they are a national title contender. I think you beat them again for the third time in a row. So that tells you that I think there are going to be multiple SEC teams, just like last year, multiple Big Ten teams that could do it all. And then it just, are you on a hot streak? Are you healthy? Charlotte, before your rival Georgia Tech. That'll be on the road at the end of the season, but I think you win those two games to end your season. So you go 11-1, but maybe you could go 12-0, not because you're experienced and talent, just the roster. I think you're better than all these teams. I think it sets up well for you. So there you go. What do you think in the comments below, Georgia fans? Are you excited about your program? And other fans, are they a contender? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. But remember, Michigan's coming up in one of these. They'll be there. And maybe Georgia and Michigan could meet once and for all to settle that beatdown that you gave us a few years ago. Have a great night, everybody.